I've always wanted to just disappear to a random country in Asia for some time. I've never done anything like that before, but I've always wanted to, and I knew that if I didn't decide when and how it was going to actually happen, then I would just keep leaving it for someday and nothing would ever happen. So I forced myself to figure out when it would make the most sense to go, and turns out it was right now. Fair enough, I googled cheap flights to Asia, I found a great deal on a trip to Thailand, and 2 weeks later, I just went for it. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. So as a heads up, I don't really have many videos from my trip because I was trying to do the whole detox from my phone, live in the moment thing. So I hopped on a flight to Bangkok with 4 days booked in a hostel and no other plans beyond that. And right off the bat, I was meeting cool people left and right. On my flight to my layover in Taiwan, I had a long conversation with the lady next to me. She was a European American who spent 5 years in India running her own nonprofit, and she was on her way to Taipei to watch an old friend marry someone from Tinder. I landed at Suvarnabhumi Airport, I hopped into the back of a taxi and started reading a book I picked up on Bangkok. I tried reciting Thai phrases to my driver. We both cringed, but he was really helpful and we had a lot of fun. So I got to my hostel and I chatted with the man at the front desk. He was native Thai, but he spoke really great English, and I ended up standing with him by the front desk, just hanging out with him the entire day while he was at work. He invited me to his place later and he cooked me dinner, and we ended up just talking for hours and hours about everything, and we hung out a lot over the next few days. We became great friends, and at the end of my trip I ended up coming back to see him, and we still keep in touch to this day. And that's the first reason why I think you should try traveling alone. You're gonna be more open to new people. Don't get me wrong, traveling with close friends and family is fantastic. Your chances of getting murdered or kidnapped, probably way lower. You're always gonna have someone to do things with and make memories with. Even if you end up arguing about some random bullshit the entire time, at least it's a pretty budget-friendly activity. But there are some things you get from traveling alone that you simply can't get from traveling with other people. First of all, you're gonna be more willing to open up to new people and get to know other people because you don't have someone to fall back on for social comfort. You don't have that social safety net. And when you're traveling with a group of people you already know, you're probably used to talking about day-to-day things or talking about people that you already know. But when you completely get rid of that and you surround yourself with people that come from completely different worlds, you're gonna talk about your life stories. You're gonna talk about the world. You're gonna talk about big life experiences. You're also gonna be more approachable. Locals and other travelers are gonna be more willing to invite you to things. So for example, I went for a walk at 6 a.m. before all the tourists were out and about, and I walked into the city pillar and said hi to someone on the way in. He saw me kneel down on my own, and he came up and took my hand and brought me into the shrine, where he guided me through his entire morning worship process with flour, gold foil being put on Buddha statues, incense, and so on. And we barely spoke, but it was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced, and there was no way that that would have happened if I had been stuck in a tourist group. I had really special little moments like that every single day. Of course I did all the classic Bangkok travel stuff, but there's probably a million YouTube videos on that already. What I really appreciated were the little things, the things that aren't that interesting. Like I wandered into a playground at 5 a.m. and just joined a bunch of older people in their morning stretches. I then got caught in the rain and shared an umbrella with someone that was pushing a food cart back home. I tried going grocery shopping that night and ended up in a flower market where I just watched people assemble garlands for hours. Fast forward a bit, I hopped on a last-minute flight to Chiang Mai where I made it in time for the first night of the Loi Krathong festival. I watched some traditional Thai dancing, I ate at night markets. Then during the day, I just wandered into the mountains west of Chiang Mai and I went for a hike near Wat Pralat. So I had ended up in Pai by hopping into the backseat of a van. It took about 700 sharp turns and I got really sick. And when I got to Pai, it was like heaven. It was a chill little town in the middle of nowhere with night markets, bars with live music. I stayed at a hostel that my friend from Bangkok recommended, and all of the people there were super friendly. We played with fire staffs. We had jam sessions with someone's guitar. So far, it sounds like everything went smoothly, right? No, it was a mess. There was a period of 24 hours in which I fell on a rock and I injured my hip. I lost my debit card in an ATM machine, and then I pet a really cute puppy and then watched it walk into the street and get run over by a pickup truck. So many things had me shook, and it would have ruined my trip if it weren't for the second reason why I think everyone should try traveling alone. When you're traveling alone, you can just let go of expectations. When you're going solo, every single thing that you see or do is exactly what you're supposed to see or do. So you injured your hip and lost your debit card? Well, that sucks. Obviously, be careful next time. But you're gonna be okay, you're gonna figure it out, and worrying about it and beating yourself up over it isn't gonna help you. Do you feel like just running into a field and laughing like a child for no reason? Do it. Then you get tired and sit down on a sidewalk and you do nothing and watch people do normal things? That's amazing. Then you end up walking for miles through literally nothing? Well, that was supposed to happen on your best possible trip. No, you're not lowering your standards for traveling. You're raising them because you're telling yourself, I will not accept an experience that's anything less than fulfilling, because you know that you can make that happen no matter what actually happens on your trip. You don't have to worry about wasting time, and you don't have to worry about entertaining anyone else. So I thought I was gonna go down to the islands in the southern part of Thailand, but had a last minute change of plans. What's new? And I hopped on a flight to Pattaya, where I spent the night in a really sketchy, closed down Indian restaurant that was converted into a backpacker's hostel. The next day I went on a ferry to Koh, which really isn't a typical tourist destination. But while I was there, I met a super friendly couple from the Philippines. They own a farm in the Philippines, but were in Thailand for an agricultural research trip. I thought that was really cool, and I went back to their resort with them to have calamari for a few hours. So the next day I hunted down a Western Union in Pattaya to wire myself money, since remember, I'm stupid and I lost my debit card. And then I hopped on a bus to a Muay Thai camp that was a couple hours outside of Bangkok. I lived there for like 3 days and I trained morning and afternoon in Thai kickboxing with some of the most inspiring people on the planet. And it was brutal, but it changed my life. And that's the third reason why I think everyone needs to try traveling alone at some point. It's a perfect opportunity for you to live differently. I was always a super sheltered, indoorsy, anxious kid my whole life, but I realized that life is short and you don't get unlimited chances to try doing things differently. I never thought I would be able to actually live like a minimalist, deactivate social media, turn off my phone a lot of the time, and just wing it for 3 weeks and have a fantastic experience. I never thought I would meet a traveler from Germany, hop onto the back of her motorcycle, and then jump into a waterfall in our underwear. I never saw myself going out to a nightclub with Bangkok locals. I never saw myself living at a Muay Thai school in Thailand and training with professional fighters. Yeah, there are always going to be risks. For me, I'm allergic to nuts, which really sucks in Thailand because now my worst case any day of the trip was death. But this trip really showed me how valuable it can be to learn how to manage and accept risks rather than just avoiding them for my whole life. So the point of this wasn't to just be in a new place. Cringe warning. The point of this was to decide what exploring myself really means and then put myself in the mindset and environment to do that properly. I really hope that this video helped encourage you to start crossing something off your life bucket list and to find meaning in something that you didn't expect to be doing. If this video helped you do that, feel free to smash that like button, drop your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you here next time.